So one question we got a lot, which makes complete sense to me, was what led to our breakdown in our relationship? What led us to get to this place? And we've talked about it a bit, but we didn't really give true details around it. And we thought a video on its own would be the best place or best way to do that and kind of talk about how we also got to a better place.
Yeah, well, the first thing I think that's worth saying is that it wasn't a specific incident that kind of led to this. It was just this slow progression of drifting apart as we kind of let the busyness of life and distractions of kids get in between the two of us.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that kids wrecked our marriage, but kids wrecked our marriage. And I think they wreck a lot of marriages. And I mean that in the best way possible. We chose to have kids. We love our kids. But it really changes the dynamics. It changes your entire relationship. Finding time now together. And I talked about this in my stories the other day, but it's not a newborn stage specific, but rather everything with kids. Finding time alone, carving in that time together, just being able to talk. I mean, goodness sakes, we have one sentence going. Kids know when you're trying to talk to your spouse and they just start interrupting and you just can't get anything out. So just redefining that, and also just finding time to have dates, asking people to watch our kids. There's guilt sometimes around that, especially now with 3. It's like, does any grandparent want to take all 3 kids? So it's getting creative in different ways, but that really felt at the time that we couldn't find time together, I guess, to really be us anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't think we had really adjusted anything in our relationship to compensate for having kids. We just kind of did the same things that we did before, but it no longer worked now that you had kids.
No, our focus was solely on our kids, and that probably is for a lot of families, right? They become your main focus, and you really just kind of shifted away from yourselves over time.
Yeah, and I think I also realized how much of my personal identity I had put in my job and my career. And so kind of coming to grips with that and finding my own identity outside of that was a big thing. I made my own video about that, which I posted on my own personal page. But I think you kind of struggle with similar things with that.
Mm-hmm. And I made a post a little bit ago on my Instagram account just talking about how I was very career focused before kids. And then having kids made me merely mom focused when I was staying home that first year on maternity leave. And then I did a part-time work thing when I came back. And it was really just finding this balance of part-time work, part-time motherhood and life at home. You're always a mom, but that mom life at home different. And just trying to define who you are. Am I a psychiatric nurse? Am I a mom? Am I both? How do I find balance? How do I give my all to all these areas, but still feel like I know who I am as an individual, myself?
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of the challenge, really, right? It's just figuring it out. And I think we got to this point where it was like, we would go for dinners alone and we'd finally get that date night that was well overdue. And we would sit there and they always say, don't talk about your kids. And, that's another video. I think that that's okay balance. But we would sit there and be like, well, let's dream, let's talk. And I'd say to John, I don't think we're dreaming as much as we used to. And it just felt like things weren't the spark wasn't there. The joy wasn't there the same way. And I think in those moments, we convinced ourselves that this mediocrity was okay, right? We had this myth around kids.
Yeah, I think we kind of bought into that's just how things are once you have kids. And I know especially for you, I think you probably talk with your friends a little bit more about this, but you would hear, people would say to you, oh, you guys are so great and things are, you guys are amazing. And so we'd kind of believe that and be like, okay, I guess we are good enough. But in summer, we really got to that point where it's like, no, we both knew that we could be so much better. And we just made this decision to stop settling for what we felt was mediocre in our relationship.
And we had been so much better, right? We were amazing when we were dating and first married. I really truly believe that's why we picked each other. That's why we are married, right? There's a reason why. And so you're right. We'd have to find that again and not settle and not let the guilt even of other people saying, hey, like, you're great. And it was like, okay, yeah, you are. You're right. I shouldn't think this way. How dare I? I'm so grateful for all the things we have in our life, our marriage, our house, our health, all those things, right? Our finances. And so it was finding time alone to really do that. And so you kind of went on your own journey individually.
Yeah, I went to therapy just myself for the first time. And that was just really helpful. Just finding, having someone unbiased to listen to you and kind of walk through these different things and give a different perspective. So that was really helpful for me. And then just carving out time for myself, whether it be listening to podcasts or reading and things like that, finding, some quiet time to reflect and listen to what was on my heart.
Mm-hmm, that alone time. And I just want to mention the therapy piece because a couple people have asked me that and I've answered them through DMs, but not on here, that we didn't do marriage therapy together, but we have done it as a couple before when we were dating.
Yeah, we did pre-marriage.
We did premarital and we did see somebody a couple times. Right. I don't even remember that. But anyway, I just want to say that if you are thinking about therapy, clearly where I come from in my background and just based on our personal experience too, it has been super helpful and we definitely encourage that. It was definitely helpful for us. But anyway, individually, we did work separately. And so I know when it was the darkest days for me last year in our marriage, I just really tried to put myself as a priority and take some time. So there was days I'd come home from work and I would go drive and just sit, by like the river and just like think with my own thoughts. I would let them know where I was. It was completely safe. I said, I'm just going to go, do my own thing for a little bit. I won't be home for dinner. But I just needed that time to really reflect on my life and where I was at in our marriage, specifically at the time. So I would put music on. I would listen to music that had meaning from back when I was younger or from our marriage, like our first dance song, things like that. And it really just helped me put things in perspective again and helped me really redefine who I was. Like I said, who was I as an individual? Who am I as Arlen? Not as a mom or as a nurse, but really just as an individual. And so that's where we kind of started.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we did work at the same time as a couple simultaneously while doing our individual thing, but that's a lot for this video. So we figured we'd just kind of share our individual piece for now, and then we'll do a second one where we kind of talk about what we were doing together at the same time to improve our relationship.